Welcome everybody in the World Unity Week, the third day today, and very happy to see you here in the room Unitive Justice, hosted by the Hague Center for Field Inquiry, and Diana Clare, who is here with me, has done great work in bringing together a beautiful program for that around a topic that we feel is very important, and thank you for joining us. And Pamela Schreiner will be our tech host, but she's also a dear friend and great participant that joins us very many times. We're here together to explore what unitive justice is about. And we felt that in our inquiry that Diana Clare and I have been working on since 2013, 2014, when we started to work together in figuring out what is humanity's rightful place in the whole web of life. What kind of questions come up if we're looking at that? And in these past year, I would say, we have felt that we need to go deeper in some topics, and that looking into justice in many different ways might be something that is on a deeper level underlying what we're actually exploring through systemic constellation works. Diana Clare will share more about that later. An important way for us at the Center for Field Inquiry to deeply listen, to really let ourselves be present and listen in that way. So we're very grateful for you to join us. And in the Hague Center, we use spiral dynamics integral as one of the lenses in how we look at life and the ways that we work. And I'm wondering whether we could just have a little hands up who is familiar with spiral, so that we just have a sense of that. It's not needed, but just to have a sense of that. So who knows about spiral?
Kind of. I wouldn't. I'm kind of a half.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I'm seeing that Susan and Oriana, well, I'm presuming, and the others are fine. Okay, just good to know. Diana Clare, would you like to first say something, or would you like me to ring the bell, or?
So this room, the Unitive Justice room, is being hosted essentially by the Hague Center for Field Inquiry, which is a center that both Anne-Marie and I co-founded a couple of years ago in order to have a home for these deep inquiries that we're doing. And over the last year, we've started to have what I've always imagined, which was an opportunity to really look at an issue or a theme over time. So in the fall, we did a series called The Future of Money Now. And then most recently, over this half year with the Whole World View, we've been looking at activism and how might activism look within a unitive context, and we could call that sacred activism. And so our plan is to continue to do these deeper inquiries over time, which allows us to look at these issues from many, many perspectives. And I find that we've developed this Constellating for collective process that we use, that we can do it online, that allows us to work with groups and organizations and teams to investigate, to inquire, to allow our curiosity to take us. And one of the overriding questions, as Anne-Marie said, that has been holding us is, what is humanity's rightful place in the flow of love and life? And in order to answer that, to look at that, we need to be doing investigations on a number of issues, as you can imagine. So the Hague Center for Field Inquiry, it's finding its place now. And we're delighted that you're here with one of the the experiments that we've been doing over time, which are these walking with the spiral. And Anne-Marie and I've offered that on peace. We did one a year ago on peace and another one on love and power. So it's a format that we can use where we combine constellation work, the representing, with a structure, preformed structure, the spiral. We're going to show you what that is, and explore from the many levels of consciousness. So welcome. Thank you for being here. And I really love the spiral walks process. So I'm very happy that we're doing that in the Unit of Justice room. So thank you.
Great. In this work, we know that it's very important to ground ourselves, not only in this space, in the Zoom space, let's say, but also in the place where we are. So maybe as we are with a kind of a group that we can oversee, we can just mention our name and the place where you're calling in from, and we just do it quickly, popcorn style. Just please unmute if you're mute, and otherwise just speak. And whilst you're doing that, feel your feet on the ground and really connect to the place where you're calling in from, whilst we also connect to the virtual world. And I'm calling in from Vreeland in the Netherlands, and I'm Annemarie.
I'm calling in from the UK, from the southeast of the UK, and I'm Esther.
I'm Annelies. I'm calling also in from Vreeland.
I'm Sophia. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Sophia. I'm calling in from Delft in the Netherlands.
My name is Anita, and I'm calling in from Capelle aan de IJssel in the Netherlands.
I'm Susan, and I'm calling in from Beachport, South Australia.
I'm Brigitte, and I'm from Melbourne in Australia.
I'm Pamela. I'm calling in from Ottawa in Canada.
Cara?
I'm Cara. I'm calling in from Thiviers, France.
And Oriana mentioned it earlier.
I'm here from Tucson, Arizona.
Thank you.
And I'm Diana Clare, and I'm in Ottawa, Canada.
Yeah, so we are spanning, kind of like spanning the world, which is really great. Okay, so Diana Clare, do you want to bring us up to speed with the instructions and some practicalities and things that we are going to help us?
A number of instructions. So first of all, I'm going to start with representing what it means to represent in the knowing field, because in systemic constellation work or constellating with the collective, we call the field we're working in the knowing field. And I know most of you have experience with constellation work except Oriana. I'm not sure, do you?
Sorry, no, not.
Okay, so I'll give a little reminder of being a representative. In representing in constellating for the collective, it's not playing a role. So in this case, for instance, you'll be representing justice, and we invite you not to imagine what justice is or play the role of justice. You will just open to the field and allow the information to come to you. And one of the ways you doing that is sometimes we're very surprised with the information that comes. So that's the most important thing to do, is release any idea, preconceived notion, thoughts about justice, and allow justice to inform you. You may feel that in your body in certain ways. You may have a little emotional response. You may hear some words or see visuals. Everybody gets the information differently, but just allow it to come through. And look after yourself, look after your body when you're doing it. So if there's if something feels too intense, you can release it. I use this thing of in your imagination, do a dial, and you can dial it back. So let's say in one of the representings, you feel intense anger. That's a common one that people, sometimes it feels too intense. You just imagine a dial and dial it back from 8, say, to 2, and allow your body to do that. So there's more we could say about representing, but I think the main thing is it's opening up and allowing the information to come to you. That the teachers in Constellation Work say that there are 2 things that we know that makes it constellation work. One is that there's the knowing field, which is like a Wi-Fi field. It's invisible and it's everywhere. And the second thing is that we as human beings have the antenna to tune into that field and receive the information. So I like to think of myself when I'm doing this as that I'm just an antenna, and that allows the information to flow through. I am going to call in the knowing field so that we are in the container. I consider it a sacred container while we do this work today. But before I do that, we're going to do how you're going to lay out your floor to do the spiral walks. And Pamela's going to show us a diagram on this. And we've also got a Google Doc, which I believe you'll put in the chat, and people can print this out if it's easier, or you can just be looking at the diagram on your computer, and you're going to lay this out on your floor, okay? This is why you need many papers.
Okay.
So on your papers that you have, you'll be writing the different levels of the spiral. So, and first of all, I want you to know you do not need to have any idea what this is about. We're going to tell you more later. In fact, it's helpful if you just actually don't really know, because then the information can surprise you. So you're going to do markers for separate markers, beige, purple. We've got 2 purples here. This should say red. That's an error. Red, blue, orange, green, yellow, and turquoise. We're just going to turquoise today, okay? So you'll each do those markers. And Anne-Marie, can you see all the participants? Because I only see on the screen, I only see a few of us.
Yes, I can.
So people could let us know when their thumbs up when they're ready with those markers, if you can monitor that. There's a question, do we put them blind on the floor? No, we want you to lay out the spiral as it's indicated and you see the naming. Oh, here comes Lisa Marie. Yay. Welcome, Lisa Marie. We're just starting the technical thing of filling out the papers. I don't know if you can hear me yet.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you can see the diagram on the screen, you're to make papers that will go on the floor, beige, purple. This should say red, blue, orange, green, yellow, and turquoise. We're only going to turquoise. Is that clear enough?
Got it. Thanks.
Is that
Welcome.
welcome here?
Thank you.
You want to show my floor?
I don't,
Are we putting him on the floor?
yes, you're
My
going to put
question.
them on the floor in this order so that you see how they alternate.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to do that in that order, do it in that order, okay?
And give a bit of space so that you can stand on it, because that's what we're going to be doing.
If you want, I could show my floor. But
Well, I wonder if I don't know if people need to see the floor or the diagram is clearer.
yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, diagram's good for me.
Yeah, thanks, Sophia.
Yeah, but just for those people that never have done it, but it's okay. If it's not being asked, then we don't.
Are there any questions about what it is to lay it on the floor? We can,
Do you want us to make a line as well, as you have that dotted line through?
yeah, so the line indicates a gap. So one of the ways of indicating that is to just have a bigger space between green and yellow. Or we'll just know that there's a line there. There's an energy line. Anne Marie, I think, put a cord across if there's something.
I just did that as well. Yeah, I put a, yeah. Okay.
Are there any other questions about? Okay, Oriana says, does that mean you're leaving or you just want to witness, Oriana?
And you can put it in the chat if you want. You don't need to speak.
Yes, it's totally fine to witness. Thank you for being here as a witness. How are we doing in terms of readiness? Does anybody need more time?
I think my Git is still, yeah, getting ready. I'm not seeing Susan at the moment, and I'm not quite sure what Lisa Marie's status is. Thank you, Sophia. I saw it.
I'm ready.
Good, thank you.
So we can stop the screen share.
Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure. So just waiting for Brigitte to come back.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't realize my video was off.
So welcome, Lisa Marie. We've
Sorry,
all
I was here, but my video was off. Sorry.
no, but you missed our going around the circle in your name. So perhaps you could just say your name and where you are as part of the grounding before I do the calling in the knowing field.
Sure. Lisa Marie Main. I'm in Larkspur, Colorado.
Welcome.
And this is where the Ute tribe lived nomadically.
Thank you. So now I'm going to call in the knowing field. And for me, it's a meditation. So please do what you do to feel comfortable, feet on the floor. Interestingly, my eyes are closed when I call in the field, so yours can be open or closed. And we'll just start. So welcome to the knowing field, this sacred container in which we do our work today. I wish to acknowledge the great mystery that invites us to explore and experiment together. I also acknowledge and give thanks for the indigenous teachings from around the world that all life is sacred. And within that, for the constellation community, the Zulu teachings that when we're in right relations with our ancestors, life flows smoothly. I acknowledge Bert Hellinger, the founder of this work, that he combined many, many different modalities and allowed creative spirit to move him and brought this work forward several decades ago. I acknowledge and give thanks to the thousands of constellators who have been doing this work and continue to do this work, evolving it so that it's of great value in this present moment. I acknowledge and give thanks for the thousands and thousands of constellations that have been done and continue to be done around the world, providing us some of the information and energy we need for today. And now I'm going to ask each of us to invite our mothers in our mother line to support us in today's work. And just notice where you are in relationship with this lineage. For me, they're behind my left shoulder. And also notice if there's a gap or if they're close. Everything is as it should be, but just it's for you to be aware. So just notice. And we do this remembering that this is how life has come to us and moves through us. And now each of us call in our fathers in our father line And again, notice where you are in relationship with this lineage. For me, they're behind my right shoulder. That's not true for everyone. So where are you, or where are they in relation to you? And notice if there's a gap where you're close. And we do this remembering this is how life has come to us and moves through us. And now I invite you to call in any other resources that you personally would like to have with you as we do this experiment, walking the spiral with justice. So this can be people living or dead, can be animal spirits, trees, nature, can be forces like joy or strength, and it can be angelic angels or archangels, whatever would help you feel resourced today. So welcome to the knowing field. And when you feel ready, if you'll open your eyes and come back to the room. Thank you. Is everybody back? I think so. Annalise, I cannot quite see you, but you are okay. So we're now going to start the process of walking the spiral. So what I invite you to do is make a marker for justice, a paper, and you're going to be representing justice. So it's very helpful if we put the marker in our pocket or tape it to your shirt or whatever way that helps. So make a marker for justice. And you're also going to need some papers to write the information that comes to you as you move through the spiral. So it's handy to have a notebook or some papers, because I trust that quite a bit of information will be coming at different levels, and you will want to note it down so you can remember it. So it's good to remember you don't need to understand what each of the levels mean. The amazing thing about this work, we could do it blind and you would still get information coming through. So just trust that we've got a structure here and you can walk through this structure in the pattern that we showed you. So you're alternating the levels as justice. Now, I would like to know if there are any questions before we start, because you're all going to stay in the main room here doing your walk. You can come, and if you've got a question during it, you could come and ask it, come to your computer, but otherwise we'll just be watching you do the walk. And I really invite Pamela and Anita, who are helping with this. If you want to do the walk yourselves, please do. Any questions before we start? Looks like it's good to go. Anne Marie, any comments before we?
No, I think it's good. It's good. Maybe we all take a breath together to really ground ourselves with all this stuff, that we can just be fully present again. So maybe we just breathe in and breathe out 3 times. Just do it in your own, how you want to do it yourself, but then we just, and then we can start.
It also can be helpful when you're starting, you say, I am justice. So announce it to yourself too, I am justice, and then start the walk. And write notes for each level, because we're going to be asking you as a group to, it's a harvesting of what comes through about justice as you walk through the spiral. So,
and the movements are slow. We walk slowly in systemic work. So unless you're being pushed and told to walk, to run, of course, but in essence, it's a slow inquiry.
We have around 15 minutes for you to do this walk, so you can take your time. Okay. Enjoy. So if everybody could come back to their computer, even if you haven't finished the walk. So Anne Marie, do you want to guide the harvest? We had thought we might move into breakout rooms. We're actually going to stay as a whole group so that everybody can hear everybody else. And then that builds the field on this topic. So if you'll guide us.
Yes, curious. So we'll do it popcorn style so that you can really feel yourself ready when you want to share, because you've just gone through a whole process. So I won't point to somebody, but yeah, let's just see how we can flow. Be aware that we are with quite a few. So let's just first give a short description. I'm thinking of the best question, Diana Clare, that we would say. Maybe what surprised you in the experience, some things that you want to share. And we'll be doing another round later on as well. So just something that can pick up, and maybe somebody that has a lot of experience with us to share, just to show how we do that. You don't need to be complete. It's really what you feel is necessary to share with us. And when we go round, I'll ask one more time, is there something that you feel really needs to be said? Because in that way we're developing the field together. So who wants to start? Take 2 or 3 minutes. Esther, go ahead.
What I was surprised I haven't done a spiral format like that before. So because it was totally open what it is, it was totally blind, I just really had to really think, really sense what is it I'm looking for. So for me, it was very obvious if I felt tall or short or wide or heavy or light. And that sort of was my gauging through the whole. And if I felt stable or wobbly, basically. So yeah. And it was obviously always different, each field.
And was there something that really touched you or that stood out for you?
Well, the times when I felt really tall and light felt wonderful, and I wanted to stay, obviously.
And what color, do you remember what color that was?
The first one, I felt thin and young and very tall, which felt pleasant, but compared to for example, number 7 felt, oh no, hang on. Yeah. That number 7 felt really good. I felt again very tall and then rising up my spine. I also felt young, but it felt older than the first one, if that makes sense.
Could you say color rather than
Yeah,
number?
sorry, yellow. Yellow felt very, I felt my spine was rising up. There was sort of a bubbling and I felt tall. It felt young, but it very good. But for example, compared to number 1, the beige, I felt very thin and young and tall, but it had less weight in it, if that makes sense. But when I was yellow, I was very, very aware of what was behind me.
Mm.
And the funny one was then the turquoise one. I wanted to turn what was behind me. I have this pull to turn back, and then I tried to turn, and it felt totally wrong to turn and look back. It didn't work. And it felt black as I was looking back. So then I turned back, but I had to come back the same direction. Instead of doing a full circle, I had to go trace my way back.
Mm.
So that surprised me a lot. And the coral one, the last one, I felt very gentle, slightly weak, but not weak, more delicate than weak.
Mm.
And very soft, very new. It felt, yeah, good, but so new, I didn't know what to do with it.
And you're not informed by spiral, are you?
Pardon?
You're not informed by, you don't know anything about spiral dynamics,
Nothing.
do you?
No.
Okay.
I've
good.
never done that, no.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
On the list. Go ahead, please. And you're, yeah.
Well, interesting was that I felt not so much in the beginning, but I felt really pushed away when I was in red. I could not ground, as if I was not welcome. I felt as I was stumbling and really not at ease. But it totally changed when I get into the next one that was blue. I truly felt as if there was something coming through to my spine, as if I was getting an incarnation, and I felt very, very grounded and very, very solid. It was like I was of one piece. But then it totally changed again when I was in orange. I could not stand there totally. I was with only my left foot in orange. And again, I had this feeling that now it was not pushed away, but now it was slipping away. So I was, I could not grab and hold grip. And it also felt that I had to stand firm, but I could not hold it back. So it was something like that. And I also, in my posture, I was standing like, oh, I'm here, but it did not help. So, and also what stood out was that only in the last one, that was the turquoise, I felt waves of love and of light, but also a kind of sadness going through me. And I felt it was not only me, and I felt a lot of pressure, as if I had to see a lot, and in different ways. I felt a lot of pressure on my third eye. So this is what I noticed. Lots more, but this is what stood out.
Thank you, Annelies. And just a small reminder, we're listening to Justice sharing this because that's how you walk through. So your experience. Who would like to go next?
I spoke as Justice, so this is good to say. Yes, it's not totally not as a person, but as Justice. Every moment I started with standing, I'm Justice. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Who would like to go next? Susan, you'll need to unmute, please.
when I stood on beige, the first one, immediately I felt like I wanted to go forward. So I had this feeling of being pulled forward. So then I was on purple and I felt this connection back with beige. And I felt like the two of them were like holding hands, and purple needed to say to beige, I won't forget you. So it was like this care between the two of them a little. And so then I hopped onto purple and I felt very alone. And I didn't want to look at the blue one. Yeah, well, I found it very difficult.
Is this in the purple or in the red?
This is in the red purple. Yeah, the red.
The red, yes.
I felt very yeah, I felt a little bit awkward to go on to the blue. And then I hopped on the blue and I felt really strong, very grounded, in charge and in control. Then hopping onto the orange, it was nearly like an opposite feeling. I felt very isolated and very on my own. But I was still looking at the future. And then green, I kind of felt this relief that someone was doing something. Was this relief that someone was doing something. And then 7, when I first hopped on the yellow, I felt anxious. Then I felt all this behind me, which then that anxious went, and I felt strong enough to look in the future. And then when I did hop on number 8, the turquoise, the first thing I could feel was a blue lake, like a lake, beautiful lake. It was like environment, beautiful environment, and children playing, like this beautiful environment. Yeah. So that was my walk of justice.
Thank you, Susan. Great. Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I can go next.
Thank you, Sophia.
Well, I didn't make it all the way through because when I heard the 5-minute warning, I was about a third of the way through it. Oh my goodness.
That's okay. No problem. No problem.
So yeah, obviously I started on beige, and I just didn't feel very much. Like I had lost connection with myself. But I felt small. I had heavy legs and I felt a little bit sad, but none of these feelings were very strong. I just felt a bit disconnected. And then I moved to purple, and there was a lot more energy came up into my head and my legs were lighter, but I felt very anxious. I just felt anxious. I felt like somehow a need to be heard. I wasn't being heard somehow. And then I moved to red and I felt really sick. I started to feel nauseous and my head I could hear my pulse in my head. I felt a little bit dizzy. And I wanted some stillness. I wanted everything to stop, just stop. And then I moved on to blue and I was hoping for relief, but I didn't get any. I felt more nauseous and dizzy.
Oh.
And I felt very ungrounded. And like I was floating a little bit. And the word that kept coming off my head was not stop anymore. It was help.
And did you feel that was that you were in blue, or that was actually still red pulling you? In that state, did you feel that you could shift into another color, or did it flow into it?
I think I did shift into another color.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Because I did try and think, where am I? And I reconnected with the blue, and I did feel connected to blue.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I think it wasn't still red, but that did surprise me. I thought, what? Anyway, but I did feel connected to blue.
Okay.
And then in orange, then I got some relief from those overwhelming sensations. So suddenly I did feel stronger. I felt more present. I felt, more grounded and connected. Green, I just felt really tired, but I had a lot of energy in my arms, like I was somehow doing way too much here, and it was exhausting me. And I had kind of some feeling of shame. And then yellow, I just didn't stay in very long because you called us back, so I didn't actually get to turquoise. But yellow, there was a lot more vibrancy for me. I felt a lot more vibrant. I had a lot more energy. I had more love or compassion flowing through me in yellow. Yeah. And that was as far as I got.
Thank you. Thank you. Very beautiful. Who would like to go next? Let us hear what Justice shared with you.
I'll go next. In beige, I felt really light and very natural. I was humming and swaying. And then in purple, the humming continued, but added on to stepping, like a circle dance. And then had the sense of the circle, like I was standing in the circle with the tribe, and I could see everybody's eyes, and that was important about justice, that we would see each other's eyes regularly as we dance in the circle. And in the red, this song was continued, but it was a little quieter and a little more sad. It was hidden in my head because it was not allowed on the outside world, but it was still in my inside world. And in blue, the song got lower and slower and sadder, and I felt tired, and I was tracing a cross on my forehead, and that cross was lighting up with the spiritual energy. And then in orange is kind of a bit more excited to get to be there. And I did these ones a bit less time. Green was just kind of quiet and light, and grounded feet, but the rest just sort of light or not much sensation. And then yellow, my eyes became open and I was looking up. And in turquoise, I was sort of overbalanced to my left. It was sort of standing, but tilted to the left.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Lisa Marie.
I can go.
Yes.
Somewhat similar to what was shared, and Esther, I think you started off by, just more sensations. I didn't have feelings though, like others, just physical sensations. When I first stepped in, I had a major shiver, like almost like a dog shaking off water. That might have just been me entering the field. So on beige, probably was the most significant sensation, in that I kept feeling pulled backward and wanting to spin to the left, almost as though there was a desire to turn around. Not like there was something behind me, but just the body motion was leaning towards that. Purple, on the other hand, was slightly leaning forward. And in all of them, at first, I felt strong. And and then there'd be slight movement. So this one was slightly falling forward, and was surprised to find, because it felt strong, that all of a sudden after falling forward, there was a weakening in the knees. Red was interesting. Someone else was talking about red that seemed to resonate with me. I felt really thin and tall, as if I was smushed between two walls, like a wall in the front and the wall in the back, making me thin and taller. And that provided some sense of stability. It didn't feel trapped, just compressed. And blue was the most rooted up until this point, as if there was a single chord creating stability. And there was a little bit of swaying. And orange also was grounded, felt grounded, yet the word that I wrote down was disintegrating. And I don't know if that's the right word. At first, I almost felt like my legs were starting to disappear. It was also maybe a lightening sensation. And so when I stepped onto green, I actually lifted on my toes and thought it was going to be a feeling of upward. And yet my knees again started to sink a little bit. The knees got a little weak. Yellow, the only sensation was a feeling of pulling to the right. And turquoise was a feeling of pulling forward. But most of them, like I said, I started feeling rooted in each. So other than those sensations, that was it.
Thank you, Susan. Lisa Marie, thank you. Who would like to go next? Birgit. If you can unmute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I went up to yellow and didn't do the last two.
Sure.
So yeah, it took a while for me to sense and come into the experience. In beige, I felt my whole body was sort of buzzing and connected, so the whole body connection buzzing through the whole. So experience that whole body connection. And a light headache. My head was a bit so strained. It was always straining. I went to purple and went on that paper, on that space, and felt very quickly sort of a feeling of my feet were like cement. They were rooted in the earth. They were actually part of the earth more, and I was sort of really not movable. It was not unpleasant, but it was just sort of stuck in the ground and sort of a downwards feeling, downwards energy in my body. In red, I felt that my arms wanted to move, and I let them move out then. So spread out, like, I expanded in a way. I became big. My arms wanted to reach out. And in blue, it was that feeling that my head is like a funnel. I became thin, the head was big and like a funnel, and the rest of the body sort of smaller. And it was also sort of this movement, something moving through me. I receive on that sort of thing. And just see my battery is low. I have to be quick to get the charger. That was, and then
your voice is also a bit soft, so if you could speak up a bit, it's easier for us to understand.
Okay. Yeah, in orange, I felt that the middle of my body became expanded and became round. It's nearly sort of like pregnant. So it was like just the center of my body was becoming really round and big. And in green, the experience was that I felt my two body halves. There was a symmetry, harmonious symmetry, but two halves. My body was two halves, and there was a line between. There was sort of a clear symmetry. And yellow, yeah, the energy was then in the head again, and it felt like my head was sort of stuck on there like a sun, and there was sort of rays going out from the head. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. And welcome, Suzanne. We're reporting back of a specific personal process that everybody did in their room. So if you could just, you're welcome to just be here and listen. I don't know if it makes much sense for you, but just your witnessing is also of value. Anita, would you like to go next? Because I think you're the last. Oh no, Pamela also did it. So Pamela or Anita, who would like to go next?
In beige, I felt like that surprised me. I felt really at home.
Ooh.
And like a surrender to whatever happens. So there was no real sense of whatever happens needs to happen. That was the sense that I got. And in purple, I felt really happy to be more connected to others, and kind of a relief that as justice is what, you know, justice and being in this purple group was kind of almost like the same thing. So it was like a relief there. And in red, I felt my body straightening. I had a sense of fear and responsibility, being protective. And in blue, again, I had a sense of relief, like, and feeling more present, being more there. And again, I felt like in every next step, I had a sense of relief. Like I felt relief stepping into orange, that everything calmed down, everything had, yeah, like everything had found its place as justice, that it felt everything had fallen into place.
Was that in blue or was that more?
No, in orange. I felt a sense of relief in blue too, but that was more the sense of that, you know, more the togetherness. And what did I, hang on. The blue had the relief that I was with others and we're in it together. There was a little fear of doing things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also a relief that things were clearing up. But in orange, that everything fell into place. And in green, I just felt a lot of freedom. like I had this sense of now I can breathe. And in turquoise, I felt a sense of responsibility.
Yellow or turquoise?
Oh, sorry, yellow. Sense of responsibility, but also clarity. And turquoise was more a sense of flow, that I could feel this movement like a dance.
Thank you. Pamela.
Yeah. I suspect I wasn't properly representing because I got words for each level, and the words were probably a lot based on my knowledge of the spiral. So,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being aware of that and leaving it to that. And good for yourself, of course, to see what words come up. Okay, so then if Oriana, if you want to comment on anything that you're aware of, please put it in the chat, knowing that it's difficult for you to speak. I'll just skip you in the moment, Suzanne, unless there's something that you really feel you want to be saying, what you noticed when you came into the room. But I would prefer if we could first go into the next exercise, but just to make sure that you, okay, good, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for being here and holding the space. Suzanne is probably calling in from Switzerland, as far as I know. Diana Clare, please, you're on mute. No, maybe first I can ask if they're having done the round and listened, is there anything else that has come up in you as Justice that you would like to share and bring in?
I think it would be good to move to the.
Yeah, I'm seeing also that there's nothing that really wants to be said. So please go ahead.
So this round, the markers on the floor, same, you're going to keep the same markers in the way they are. But this time, each of the markers represent unitive justice. Okay, so they represent the structure and they represent unitive justice. And you're going to represent yourself walking through the spiral of unitive justice.
So it's unitive justice in beige, unitive justice in red, unitive justice in purple, etc.
Can you say a little more about unitive justice, or do you just want to, you just let that come through us,
No,
whatever that means, whatever comes through?
That's what we want to hear. We want you,
Okay.
Justice, to speak to us.
Sure.
That's the inquiry.
Yeah, because I'm not sure what you mean by that, but as you say, that's probably
Either
good.
do we.
That's the whole point. That's why we're so happy that you're all here. So just let's just take a moment. I'm going to ring the bell so that we can just.
Could I just one more clarity? So
yeah,
I want to make sure I heard it right. The pieces of paper, the spiral dynamics represent unitive justice, but I'm now me. I don't want a piece of paper in my pocket saying justice.
Right.
I'm me.
Correct.
So we're going to ring the bell, and then you're going to say yourself, "I am Lisa Marie."
Well, I think what we should do is release justice.
Okay. Yes, you're right.
So if everybody could, you can shake or turn around or do something, let go of the paper. You're no longer representing justice. Thanks, Lisa Marie, for reminding us about bringing that up. And then in this next walk, you actually are representing yourself. You are yourself walking through this unity justice spiral. Okay. And we're going to have a shorter time, given the time limit. We're going to have a quite a bit shorter time. So as yourself, stand on each, and you've now got the process down and note things. And it will be probably no more than 10 minutes.
So Diana Claire, I can also imagine that if there's a strong pull for something, that you can go there if that's what you're feeling.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's really good. If there's one that you, or two that stand out for you, stay longer. You don't actually have to move through the whole spiral on this one. Okay, let yourself feel in the energy. Thank you, Anne-Marie. That's very good.
So shall we just take a deep breath and that you can say your name, and shall I ring the bell once, Diana Claire?
Sure, ring the bell and then people can start. Yeah.
And then you can start whenever you feel ready. Okay. So we were walking, we were sensing into unitive justice as yourselves. Let's do a little round with sharing what have you become aware of, or what did unitive justice tell you, or what did you sense? Do you want to precise it more, Diana Claire?
Yes, we do not actually have the time for you to go through each level like we did last time. So we're asking you for the essence, because this is what we're looking for. What did you learn about unitive justice? Just the essence. Be aware that we've only got maybe 10 minutes with all of you to share. So it's a very brief, because Anita is going to give us a little commentary afterwards to help us make sense of what we've just done. So please, whoever's ready, speak, but keep it brief. Lisa Marie.
Yeah, so each one of them, there was starting with beige, a forward desire to go forward, up the spiral. Most attention was drawn to the line, the gap, and curious about how to be stable through that gap, and stable came from the field, the feeling of stability. And I found stability with 1 foot on the green and 1 foot on the orange. That was the only time that I didn't feel being pulled up the spiral.
Thank you.
I continue that because I felt the pull forward as well, and I got really pulled into the yellow, and that's where I wanted to be and stay. And I went back to it, so I walked all the way and came back to the yellow and just stayed. When I stood in the coral one, it felt lovely, very calm, but I knew it's not my place yet, so I went back to the yellow.
I had the experience as if I was being turquoise walking as unitive. Okay, I felt like I was being turquoise walking the spiral.
Mm. Mm. Susan, you're muted.
I felt the most comfortable in green. I felt light and happy, and would have been happy to just stay there. And the one that had the deepest effect on me was red. I didn't feel safe there.
Thank you.
The blue marker only, he's blowing away and blowing around.
Kara, could you speak into the computer, please?
The blue marker only is blown away by the wind, and I felt most comfortable in the turquoise.
Annalise.
For me, the spiral started at red. I had the same as Esther, that I felt really, really good energy in yellow. I had something like, oh, I like to start here and work with justice. And what was very funny is that blue really stick to me. So the paper stick to my feet when I want to move again. So it's oh, wait a minute, a little bit longer here, please. This is important here. And I also had to go to the toilet in blue, and I thought, oh, no, stay. You cannot go out the circle now. But then I moved to orange, and then immediately I went to the toilet and said, come on, I decided myself. So it was very funny also about in relationship to justice, unity, justice.
I'll go next.
Yes, Sophie.
I was also really drawn to move forward. And before I could do anything, I just had to move right up the spiral to the top. And then I could come back down and actually start to be a bit more present to each of the colors. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. I also felt the most comfortable in yellow, I think. Yeah, there was some, by the time I stepped up to turquoise, there was these blocks. Energy wasn't moving anymore. I felt blocked. But when I stayed there a little, I felt blocked or like uncomfortable a few times. But if I stayed longer, something would change a little bit. That was certainly true of turquoise. More than any of them, this pattern of if I just can be present here a little longer, something started to shift and change in me a little. I felt a little more comfortable.
Thank you.
Can go next.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I started with the beige, feeling kind of very soft knees, small, bent over. Yeah, just small. And in red, it was significant. I felt like a triangle between my hands, spread out, the two hands and the head that built a triangle, and the center of it was my mouth. There was a strong feeling of, yeah, the mouth was very energized. And in blue is where I wanted to stay. It was a strong feeling of, I like it here. I feel secure, undisturbed. I don't want to leave. It was sort of a stable feeling. And in green, I had a strong forwards movement. And again, energy in the mouth of like, I need to speak. The mouth was sort of coming forward. And yeah, interestingly in yellow, I got a backache. I couldn't, it was uncomfortable to stand. It was my feeling I can't stand straight here. And in turquoise, then it was, yeah, letting go. I was then flowing like water. Yeah, it was more sort of a dissolving feeling. Okay, that's how far I got.
Thank you. Pamela?
I felt tall and strong through most of the spiral, like variations such as grounded on beige. And then by the time I got to turquoise, it was like my bones were really aligning up in a strong way. And then I felt like moving beyond swaying arms, like moving beyond that, just being one strong entity.
Thank you. I think everybody's shared. So what I would like is if you were to ask for a word or a couple of words of unitive justice, having walked the spiral, what would that word be? And allow it to come, let the field inform you. Having walked the field, the spiral, let's, because we're looking for what is unitive justice. So if you could just, and please put it in the chat. And then I'm going to invite Anita to give us a little commentary. So, but
So
just a
let's go.
second, Anita, we're giving people time to write in the chat the
I
essence.
thought maybe I'd talk and
No.
Okay.
So we nearly have everybody. Suzanne, would you like to add your word? Lisa Marie, would you like to add anything else? You have added something before, but not. Yes, good. Okay. Thank you.
So Anita, in the very brief time, can you say a little bit about each of the levels, very little, and then what I'm thinking would be great is if you and I afterwards make a little video of a longer meaning making session, and we'll send that to everybody here, because unfortunately we're coming to a close,
that'd be
and so
nice.
I don't want to jip your time. Okay, so if you could just do a brief sense making for the moment, and then we'll close the workshop.
So if we think about beige is about when we survive, and everything is about eating and pooping and mating and procreating. And so there is the sense that I got very much about beige is that if you eat and you kill something, that's justice. And if you get eaten yourself, that's also justice. There's no real, very strong cognition going on there. When we're in purple, we safety in numbers. We belong to a clan, we belong to a family, and you will not survive without this clan. They're your survival. So whatever justice is, whatever is right for the people, but also the spirit world and the ancestral world are an integral part of who you are. So justice is also part of the spirit world, and the ancestors are part of justice as well. So you do right by the spirits and by the ancestors as well. You can think about Ubuntu and like there's a very natural sense of what justice is. So there is kind of a retribution going on. Like you can think of the Rwandese way of dealing with the aftermath of the genocide there without the court going beside the court cases. But in red, we always often think about red as something negative, but the positive is that there's a strong leader who doesn't care about anybody else. He is the one that decides what justice is, but he will go through hell and deep waters to protect the people that he's standing for. So he gives people a very strong sense of protection, but there's also always a strong sense of fear and betrayal that's going on there. And it very rarely appears in the world all on its own. So somebody said it's like I'm being squished in two things, like either purple comes up with a structure, or blue to kind of, because it gets can get a little raw when it's on its own. And in blue we get a holy book that says what the rules are, and blue is all about containing the impulses and postponing your direct needs and wants into a bigger reward after you die, like a better next life, or you go to heaven or something. So there's an all-seeing eye that's keeping watch until you've learned what it's like to have a clear conscience, and that gives you kind of a feeling of relaxation. Like you know what it's about. You can look into the future a little bit. You don't have to keep an eye on the leader to see what his mood is, because he decides what's right or wrong. Right and wrong have a clarity about it. It gives you clarity, direction. You know what you're up against. And in orange, we move into the state of law. So the rules become principles, and the principles and the truth find what the rules really want to go to. And if you can go to the goal of these rules, it might be something else. So you can debate the rules, and they become more principles that you stick to. And there is rights for if you're the suspect or you're in custody, you also still have rights. So there's a clarity about what, and it's more rational. Like the blue rules are more like God has given it to you, and there's a sense of I belong to that God, and they can give me. This is more about rationality and right the here and the now, the world. And green again brings in more the heart, and brings in more the sense of minorities, rights for animals, for children, for women, all the groups that have been forgotten. They show up and they come in. And so justice is not just the rule of law. There are other things that green sees, all these parts of the world that have been forgotten. Mother Earth comes up. That was not in the rule in the state of law. That was not in the rule in the law books. And when we come into yellow, some people have said, like, okay, I become aware of what's come before. We start to see what we have transcended but not included. So we've lost a lot of the sense of justice with the spirit world, with the earth, with things that came up in green, but green was still kind of more involved with themselves developing and being in a process. Now you can see it in its more clarity in how it shows up, and where is it where we lost things? What do we need to strengthen and bring to the forefront more? And I believe that in unitive justice, in turquoise, that it becomes more like a flow, like everything has been given its place, and now we can move freely about all these different steps and kind of allow to come, like there's a trust maybe more that whatever needs to appear in justice will show up if we're sensitive to it, and if we are willing to see it, that we will see what needs to be added to get a justice for all.
Wow, thank you. Very brief and fabulous. So we're now going to close. I'm sure there could be questions, and I'm sorry we don't have time for that. And also how to take what Anita just said and bring it to your own experience, but I'll have a little longer conversation with Anita, as I said, and send it send it, the recording to you so that you can do your own sense making also. Before we close, I'm left with a question. Part of World Unity Week is the 99 days of peace, and people have been invited to connect with a mission. And we haven't fully articulated our mission yet for the Unitive Justice piece. Anne-Marie and I'll be working on that. But if you're interested in continuing an exploration of Unitive Justice with us over time, please indicate that to me, because then we'll keep you informed about what's emerging. And it is totally emerging. You know, we're responding to a call here that it's time for Unitive Justice to be seen and acknowledged, and for us to discover and explore what that means. Anne-Marie, do you have anything you want to comment on? There's so much going on in World Unity Week. We've sent you the schedule. Please have a look. We'd love you to come to other workshops. So
yes, well, thank you. Thank you very much. And of course, yes, there is a lot more to say, I presume. And Pamela has kindly put our websites, our emails in the thread. So if in case you want to reach out in another way, please feel free to do so. And I guess one of the questions that we could ask ourselves is, how might we use this experience in your personal response and actions on behalf of unity, truth, and justice, or in whatever other way that you are feeling that it is of interest or appropriate for you. We feel that somehow exploring this topic could help us move forward, and that's why we're also seeing that these 99 days towards Peace Week, when we have the next kind of like big convergence that we're having as co-producers of the World Unity Week, Peace Week, that will be a next step. So that's where we are expecting to show up again with this convergence room and see how we can continue. But in between, we will be doing things as well. And I would love to hear much more, of course. And I would just like to say, for those of you also, I don't know how you experience it yourself, but I heard some of you that have no idea about the colors of the spiral say things that I find, wow, that is so totally spot on. So it shows me again the power of this work, the capacity that we have to deeply listen, if we can let go, if we can be present, if we can create a container for that to happen. And thank you, Diana Clare, for the magic that you bring in creating these kind of containers for us, and for all of you to show up, and Pamela for supporting us in this way.
let's do that. Thank you, Anne-Marie and Pamela, of course, and Anita for contributing today. Let's do a 1 or 2 word checkout. Where are you right now, you personally, before we say goodbye?
Are you going to need people's emails, Diana Clare, to send out the thing from Anita, or you have them in all?
I have everybody's. Thanks, Pamela.
Yeah, so let's take a deep breath for ourselves, or whatever way you want to do that, to be present, and then popcorn style checkout, if that's okay. And if you need to really leave soon, then please go first. Just unmute yourself. And where are you now?
Just want to say thank you for another amazing experience, and I'm very curious to hear more about the spiral. So thank you, Anne-Marie, to put that on the chat, so I'll have a look later. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Fun exploration.
Lisa Marie says intrigued. Bye. Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Yes, go
I
ahead.
feel like landing. Yeah, it's landing in me, and yeah.
Thank you.
Feel free
Thank
to
you very
reach out.
much.
And feel
Thank
free
you.
to reach out if it's needed, Suzanne, please. Anybody else?
Or as
Ground,
they put that landing.
Too fast, Tara.
grounding.
Thank you for the learning together, and I'm curious to learn more about the collective constellations.
Yeah, I feel excited.
I feel curious and trusting.
I feel uplifted. There's a
I feel deep gratitude. Yes, deep gratitude.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
blessings. Hope to see you in other events.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.